Пригласим Allan Pease.
Thank you. Hold your right hand in front in handshake position like this. Copy. Everybody do this. Right hand. We're going to start with a handshaking exercise. Now I'm going to tell you who I want you to shake hands with. You determine this person and shake as if you're meeting for the very first time. Okay, you got that? Everybody copy. Right hand in front. Shake hands with the person sitting beside you and keep shaking till I ask you to stop. Go now. Shake. Shake it, shake it, keep going, shake it, more. Stop, freeze, don't move, freeze your handshake, keep your hands locked together, lock your hands together. The person whose hand is most on the top says, I want to be the boss for the rest of the day. Your hands up, you just gave in. What a wonderful venue. What a great place to have a seminar of this size. I've been coming to Russia for 28 years. I first came here when Gorbachev signed off the Soviet Union. And I did the first seminar at the Kremlin in 1990 for Anatoly Sobchak, who was then the first democratically elected mayor. And he did a seminar for the first 300 politicians, and I showed them how to go on television and look credible and believable and acceptable to the whole world. Because in those days, the new politicians didn't look so good. They'd be on television saying, we want to help young Russians. We want to help the elderly. This doesn't look so good, doesn't look believable. And the deputy mayor ran the meeting. The deputy mayor of St. Petersburg, back in those days, was who? Was Vladimir Putin. That was his first job. So I've been coming here for a long time, maybe 2 or 3 months of the year. And one of the things that came out of that seminar was talking about having your hand on top in a handshake. Now we know that handshaking goes back as far as Roman history. If you look at the Roman vases from several thousand years ago, you'll see Roman leaders, mostly men, who would meet and they'll go into this arm wrestling position. And the guy with the strongest arm would have his hand on top, and he was said to have the upper hand. In other words, when your hand's on top, you are winning the match. And that's why today, when you meet someone who puts their hands out with their palm facing down, even though you're not aware of it, you get a feeling here that that person's coming on very strong, maybe too heavy. If your palm's in upward position, you feel as though you're being defeated. So how do you shake hands with a person to create rapport, to make them feel good? Here's a simple formula. Keep your palms straight when you meet someone, like this, not down, not up. Keep it straight and give the same pressure that you receive. So for example, if their handshake is maybe 7 out of 10 in strength, 10 means very strong and 1 means very soft. If they're a 7 out of 10 and you're maybe you're a 5 out of 10, you've got to increase your pressure by 20% for them to feel comfortable with you. Now, if you're a 9 in intensity and you meet someone with a softer handshake, if you give them a 9, they're likely to think you're too pushy and you turn them off. Because the thing about business today is if people buy you, they buy what goes with you. Now, Donald Trump in his first year in the White House used this handshake. And he'll see Vladimir Putin doing it. And President Obama knew that when Putin gave him that handshake on their last meeting, he just knew that Putin was in charge of this. And that meeting was their last meeting, and it didn't go real well. There's only 3 occasions in recent history that Donald Trump has presented a submissive handshake to someone. And this was the first one. He presented this to Kim Jong-un because he wanted the North Korean people, when they saw the photograph, to think that Donald Trump is not a pushy guy, that he's a soft guy. So he presented his hand in upward position. And the first guy he ever did that with, you know who that was? The first guy Donald Trump gave a submissive handshake to? Because he gives a dominant handshake to almost everyone. The first guy who got it was this guy. He let him have it. Now the reason he let Vladimir Putin have the handshake was because he knew that when the Russian papers were printed next day, that if Donald Trump had his hand on top in the aggressive position, that you wouldn't like him. With a hand up, being submissive, he knew that you'd think he was okay. A couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump met this man, that's the French Prime Minister, Mr. Macron. Now, these Prime Ministers, these guys are all trained how to make good impressions, and he knows that Donald Trump is likely to give him a very strong handshake as a form of dominance. So Macron responded with the first meeting by holding Trump's hand so tight it almost took the blood out of his hand. You can see how strong his thumb is. Now if we take a close-up on this, it left thumbprints on Trump's hands. That is how strong it was. Now what I'm going to talk to you about this morning is why everything you have ever heard about motivation or goal setting gets results. And you're going to spend the day with Tony Robbins. And Tony is a fantastic human being. What Tony talks about works, it gets results. I'm going to show you why these things work and why they get results. And I'm going to talk about my early years. This is Malakoff. Malakoff was one of the big promoters of me back in the early part. And Gregory and Synergy, I've had a relationship with these guys now for quite a few years. They are a fantastic business, a fantastic teaching organisation. And I'm going to speak from this. This is my latest Russian best-selling book called The Answer. And here's how this works. I want you to take two fingers, one on each hand, like this, right now, and put them on the top of your ears, like this, on the top. Now move across to the centre, roughly here. What you've got your finger on is this piece here. It's about the size of a golf ball. Now its medical name, its technical name, is the reticular formation. Now all it is a piece of tissue, a ball of tissue that contains neural nerve endings and fibers. But the reason it's important to understand is it's the command centre of your brain. Everything you experience in a day, everything except for smell. Smell does not go through the reticular formation, but everything else you experience, everything you see, everything you hear, everything you taste, touch, goes through the command centre and gets distributed to the part of the brain that deals with it. So what you're looking at here, and what you were just touching on the back of your head, is in fact a piece of hardware called the reticular formation. Now like most pieces of hardware, it has a software system that makes it work. So with your computer, you've got a software system that makes the hardware work. And here's an x-ray of how that software system looks. And the technical name for this system is called the reticular activating system. Now most people have never heard of this. Raise your hand if you have never heard of the reticular activating system. Raise your hand. But most people have never heard of it. Yet it will be one of the most significant things you will ever hear about in your life. Because it's the software that controls success, where you go in your life, and it's the software that is determined where you are right now. So everything that you experience in a day goes into your formation, and the reticular activating system, now for short we call it the RAS. That's what it's called, the RAS. So your RAS sends it to the part of the brain that deals with it, and that's how it looks. Now the RAS has two important functions that go with it. First, it has a GPS function. Now GPS function is exactly the same as on your mobile phone or with your car. So for example, if you want to travel from Moscow to St. Petersburg to see your friend who lives at 22 Andre Street in St. Petersburg, do you have to know every street between here, Moscow, and St. Petersburg? Do you have to know every street? No. All you've got to know is what? The exact address you want to travel to. So you put into your GPS on your phone, on your car, 22 Andre Street, St. Petersburg. And in your heart, you now have faith that this GPS will take you to that address. You don't have to know all the streets, you don't have to know even how to get out of Moscow. If you take a wrong turn, what does the GPS do? It puts you back on track, it reroutes you. And you have faith about this. You're not an expert on GPS, but you have faith that it will take you to that address. Now, how close to the address will a GPS take you? It'll take you to the front door. It'll take you within meters of the front door. So that's the first thing the RAS has. Second thing it has is a Google search box. Now, in a Google search box, you don't have to know what you need to know. You just have to have an idea of what information you want to search. So you put it in your Google box. and it searches the internet and gives you all the answers that are closest in priority order. This is exactly how the RAS in your brain works. It's exactly how it works. You don't have to know everything about the world's information, you just have to know what you want to know. So for example, I want you to think of the motor car that you drive, if you drive a car. Who drives a car? This gentleman here, what sort of car do you drive? Give him English. It's a Hyundai i35. Okay, that's a medium small car with 4 doors, a Hyundai i35. Now the minute you decided to buy that Hyundai car, suddenly you saw that car everywhere. You pull up with the traffic lights, right beside you, there's another Hyundai i35. Look in the rear vision mirror, there's a Hyundai i35. You open a newspaper, magazine, Hyundai i35. You go to the airport, Domodedovo, Avis has for special this month, Hyundai i35. Everywhere you go, you see i35. Raise your hand if this has been your experience with your car. Okay, now does that mean that there are more drivers driving those Hyundai i35s before he made the decision than after? No. Suddenly he notices it. Now in any typical day there are around 400 million bits of information that happen around you. 400 million. Your brain cannot cope with even 1% of that. It can take in around 2,000. So your brain can take from 400 million around 2,000 bits of information. Any more than that, it becomes stressed and you can't deal with it. You might pass out. So my first question when I wrote the answer was, how does your brain know which 2,000 bits to take out of the 400 million that are happening around you? It also means that most things that are happening around your life, you don't even see it. It's invisible. Well, the thing that it looks for is what you put in your Google box. So the minute you bought your Hyundai i35, you wrote in your Google box, Hyundai i35. That's all you see now, it's Hyundai i35. A woman the other day said to me, she said, I've just become pregnant for the first time. She says, I can't believe, I look around, every second woman is pregnant. She sees women with pushers pushing babies along. She sees women feeding babies. She sees shops that have baby bottles, baby food. Does that mean that there are more things about babies before she got pregnant? No. All that happened, she put in a Google box, baby. And suddenly, her brain takes 2,000 bits out of 400,000. Now, here is the basic secret to the answer. If you understand this right now, your life will change on this one thing. Now, for those of you who come here today to watch Tony, something you probably haven't quite realised is that your life will not be the same when you leave here. It will change dramatically. And for some of you, it will change in a way you cannot possibly imagine. So here's the first thing I want you to do. From today, I want you to no longer think about how you will do anything. You've got to stop thinking about how. How will I become rich? How will I become chief executive? How will I find a perfect life partner? How will I become Mother Teresa? How will I do whatever you want to do? I want you to stop thinking about how. How is what is screwing you up and how is what's stopping you. I want you to think from today about what. What do I want? What do I want to become? What do I want to have? What will I be? In other words, you think about the what. You put the what in the Google box and it searches for the information in the 400 million bits of data around you. Now what most people do, well most people don't even know what they want to do. They don't know. They get a few ideas. Oh, I think I'd like to live in a house by the beach. I think I'd like to be a millionaire. I think I'd like to marry a perfect partner. I think I'd like to buy a Range Rover or whatever. But they don't put it in their Google box as a specific thing, so therefore they don't see it. So all you need to be able to do, once you decide the what it is you want to have and become, you put it in the box, then the how will appear. The how will appear, but most people don't do this. Most people start with the how. Well, how would I become wealthy? How would I travel to America? How could I become chief executive? How could I own a beautiful home? They start with how. And because you don't know how, you're thinking about how, not what. There's no Google bot searching anymore. You're thinking about how would I do it. You don't know how. Because if you knew how, you'd already do it. You would have done it. You'd already succeeded at it. True? It's the how that's stopping you. And most people in the world, they think about how would I do it. And after 2 or 3 days thinking about how, they can't see how, so they become demotivated. They become despondent. They put the goal on a shelf, or they forget about it, and nothing happens. They go back to their normal life. Now, a survey done 3 years ago by Gallup They survey people for all sorts of information. And the survey was done in Western Europe, United Kingdom, Australia and America. And what they discovered was that 84% of people in those countries don't like what they're doing for a job. They don't like where they go every day. Now that's 17 out of 20 people don't like it. Now half of those people, they said they were actively disengaged, which means that they're not thinking about their job, they're thinking about something else. And the other half were completely disengaged. In other words, they were just physically there but not doing anything. So 17 out of 20 people hated what they're doing for a living. Now, I don't know about a survey in Russia, but you'll find that's a very similar statistic. It might even be a bit worse here. But most people don't like where they are. And the worst day of the week for those people is Sunday night. For Sunday night they go to bed and their stomach starts to churn and say, hell, I've got to get up again tomorrow morning and I've got to go and do it again. And they don't want to do it. Now, if you're not waking up every morning saying, I can't wait to get started, this is the best day, I cannot wait to go to where you're going to go, if you're not doing that, you're in the wrong place. You're in the 87% who'll slowly tiptoe to early death. So, what if you're in that position? You've got to get out, you've got to quit. I don't mean you go and quit today. It might take you 6 months or a year or maybe longer to work out how to move to your next stage. But you must have an objective to wake up tomorrow morning and say, I cannot wait to go and do this. When you go to bed at night, when I go to bed at night, I go to bed and I'm disappointed that the day's over. I can't wait to go to sleep. I can sleep in 90 seconds. I taught myself to sleep in 90 seconds. Because I want to wake up next morning and go and do it again. And you know, the richest, wealthiest, most famous people in the world, the most successful people, that's how they feel. So for example, Roger Federer, I know Roger, he doesn't know how much money he makes. He doesn't know. But all he's ever wanted to do is get up in the morning and hit balls. He wants to hit balls. He wants to hit balls. That's all he wants to do. He wanted to do that from the time he was a kid. Now, it's possible for you to become career-oriented in anything you want. But here's how the brain works. If you can think of something, that means you have the capability within you to do that thing. If you didn't have the ability to do it, you wouldn't be able to think it. Does that make sense? So if you can think of something, that means somewhere inside you, you have the ability to be able to do that thing. But if you start thinking, how would I do it? As soon as you say how, you're finished. That's it. So stop the how right now. The how will come later. But right now, start only think about what. What do I want? What do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What is my what? Once you see your what, just like your GPS, it will drive you to the front door. You don't have to know all the streets, they will appear. That's the first part. Is the how, okay? So once you've decided your how, well, how do I get to my how? Let's talk about that. What I want you to do is to handwrite a list. Now, handwriting is important. Not keyboard, not smartphone, handwrite. This is largely Generation Y audience, so it's a bit tough. For millennials and Gen Y, they don't write much anymore, they key. When you're using a keyboard to input data, or using a smartphone, you're using between 8 to 10 connections with the brain. When you're handwriting, there are more than 2,000 connections, so there's a signal coming straight from your brain, down your arm, out the end of a pen onto paper. In other words, that means you are emotionally involved with what's going on the paper. And studies have been shown that conclusively show that people who handwrite their goals first have a far higher chance of succeeding than those that key them. Now, you're going to put them in your keyboard as well, you're going to put them in your smartphone, you're going to put them everywhere, but your initial data input needs to be handwritten. So what I want you to do from today is to handwrite a list of everything you can ever think of in your entire life that you've ever thought, wouldn't it be great to do that, have that, become that, and go there. Think back as far as you can think from the time you were a kid, everything you could ever think of that you didn't do, but it turns you on. You see, if it turns you on, you want to get up tomorrow morning and go and do it. And not only that, you want to do it for free. If you can identify one thing in your life that you would get up gladly every day and do for free, that's where greatness sits for you. Every person has greatness, and yours is the thing that you will do for free. A woman said the other day, she said, I like talking all the time. I just talk, people tell me to shut up. That's how Oprah Winfrey started. She just liked talking. People told her to shut up. She became the most famous talker of all time on TV. Another woman said, I like to keep house, I like to have dinner parties and make everything beautiful in the home. This is how Martha Stewart started. That's all she wanted to do. If you can identify what it is that will drive you out of bed, don't think about how, just this is what I want to do. And once you've decided the what, Well, in fact, let's take a step back. Let's go back to our list. You're going to write a list of everything you think of. I'm going to show you some of my personal lists in a moment. You're going to handwrite it. And you just keep adding to the list. Now, the more things on the list, the better. 10, 20, 30 things, that's really good. The more, the better. Then you watch the list over for a couple of days, and here's what happens in your mind after 2 or 3 days. As you keep looking at the list, some things start to jump out. They turn bold. And sometimes they're not the things that you expected. Other things start to disappear off the page. They fade, and sometimes you can't even see them anymore. Because your brain is a whole bunch of spaghetti. It's all spaghetti, all wound together. So when you're sitting here like you are right now thinking, what do I want to do with my life? What will I have? You can't do it. There's too much activity. By handwriting each thing, you're taking one strand at a time and putting it on the paper. One at a time, so you can analyse it. Then as you watch it over days, the list starts to change before your very eyes. And what you need to be doing with your life will start to jump out at you. I'm going to show you some of my personal lists. Now these are personal lists that, I put these in the book, The Answer. Many of these things, I know many of you here know me, but some of you may not know my history related to some of these. So let's have a look at some. I've got this in Russian, I've got my English version here. Now these are handwritten things. The list I'm showing you now, this is my personal list, and I've achieved around 90% of it. I've all been achieved. When you have a look at some of these things, you can see bungee jump, travel 50 countries, one of their selling book. Bungee jump's an interesting one. Who's done a bungee jump? About 6-7% of people have. Most people think bungee jump's got to be kidding. Well, I did a bungee jump because one of my fears in life was the fear of heights. Standing on tall buildings, and it was interfering with my life. Let me tell you about my life so you know where I started from, where I'm going with this. I come from a small country town in southern Victoria in Australia. It's as far south as you can go. The next stop is the South Pole. And the town I lived in had only 800 people. And there's only 13 kids, and when you left school, you either got a job at the timber mill, cutting timber, or you had to travel in a bus 100 kilometres to go to a big city to get a job in the bank. That was where I came from. Only 800 people. And today I have 6 children. I have 9 grandchildren. When I started, I come from what was called state housing. Now, state housing, you know what this is. That's where the housing is provided by the government. In other words, you've got no money. Now, I was a kid, so I didn't know we didn't have any money, because when you're a kid, you don't know this thing. You're just a kid. Not until you're an adult you realise you had no money. And I set some of these goals back when I was a teenager and before, because in the 1950s, my father was an insurance salesman. And in the 1950s, these were the cutting-edge motivational guys of the Western and European world. And he would take me out with him 3 or 4 nights a week, collecting premiums for policies. And he'd say to me, Allan, when I'm trying to sell, if premium's too high, maybe they might put their hand in their face, maybe they'll lean back. He would give me clues to look for, because he was trying to entertain me. And so I would sit there 2 or 3, 4 days a week, watching people, watching my dad negotiate for insurance, because they used to collect the premiums by hand. And he would take me, because he was a handsome young guy, and the people answering the door with the premium were women. And so you couldn't get in to sell. And so when you've got a kid with you, you always get in. And so I was like a sales prop. And if they wouldn't let him come in, he'd say, could Allan have a glass of water, please? Could Allan use your toilet? So I would spend 3 or 4 nights a week peeing in people's toilets and drinking water all over Southern Australia. Well, I got to sit around tables with my father, watching him negotiate. And the signals that I learned from there became a topic in the 1970s. I wrote a very famous book called Body Language, which was a very big book here in Russia as well as everywhere. And I thought everybody understood how these things work. Following around the people who were rejecting or maybe cross their arms or lean back. I thought these were obvious things. Turns out that they weren't so obvious. And we would listen to records at night by people called Dale Carnegie and Earl Nightingale. These are records that would talk about writing lists by hand and making people feel important and how to get people to say yes. The precursors of all motivation was back in the 50s. That was the environment I was raised in. And it was in state housing in a small country town. So writing some of these goals for me would obviously were going to be fairly daunting. Scuba diving, playing rock and roll in a band. Now, some of these are personal lists. Play guitar and rock and roll band. I decided when I turned 65 that I would become the lead guitar player in a heavy metal rock and roll band. So I learned to play the guitar. In fact, over 20 years, I taught myself to play every musical instrument. Piano, drums, bass, guitars, harmonica. So by the time I got to 65, I could play Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, And when I turned 65, I joined a rock and roll band. Now, the minute I decided to join a rock and roll band, every time I opened my internet, I kept seeing in front of me, want to learn to play music, want to join a band. The minute I put into my RAS, played rock and roll, my brain started pulling out of the environment everything to do with playing rock and roll. So for 3 years, I've been the lead guitarist of the Coasters in Australia. We play rock and roll. We play Led Zeppelin. Now, if I hadn't made the decision that that's what I will do, if I had said, how would I do this at my age, nothing would have happened. Now, if things aren't happening in your life, it's because you're thinking about how will I do this? Stop how, think about what would I do? What would I become? What will I have? Do you want to become a millionaire at 30? That was an interesting one. I decided to become a millionaire at age 30. And that was when the average income in Australia was $80 a week, $4,000 a year, so $1 million then was a lot of money. And I was in state housing. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know any millionaires. I had no idea what that would look like. But I had been watching TV, and on TV they said that if you're a millionaire, all these beautiful women will be attracted to you and want to know you. So I thought, I'm going to be a millionaire for sure, because if you're a millionaire, you get all the good women, is what the TV said. And they had movies that said things like How to Marry a Millionaire by Bridget Bardot. And all these guys that had this money got all these hot chicks. So I didn't want the money, I didn't know what that was like, but I knew I liked the hot chicks. And I decided to do that by age. I had no idea how I was going to do that. And I can remember people saying in my little country town, Allan, how will you do that? Like we're in a little tiny town. I said, I don't know. I don't, but this is what I will do. Yeah, but how? Your little country town, how? I don't know. And this is the point, you don't have to know. Stop trying to work out how. You don't have to know how. You have to know what. Does this make sense? Once you decide what, your life will change at that point. Today you're going to get a lot of hows. Once you've decided what, that will all make sense. Your brain will pull out of the environment all the information to show you how to do it. Then you take the action on it to do it. But the starting point is what? Now what I'm showing you here are some of the whats. Ride a skateboard, read music, speak French and German, speak fluent French, tap dance. Now some of the things on my list I became world famous for, some nationally famous, some locally, some just in my community, some just for me and my family, and other things I'm pretty bad at. Tap dancing. You know what tap dancing is? Thank you. I sit down. I set that goal when I was 14 years of age. I watched television and I saw these tap dancers in a movie where this guy was tap dancing up and down the street with an umbrella in the rain. He was doing singing in the rain. And I watched this guy tap dance. I thought, this is incredible. I want to tap dance. I wrote it on my list. When I was 37 years of age, I joined the Avalon Beach Tap Dancing Club in Sydney. And for 3.5 months, me and 40 fat ladies, we tap danced around that studio. And I wasn't very good. It wasn't what I imagined. I thought I'd be really good at it, but I found it hard work. It was hard work. And after 3 months, I didn't like it. Now look, here is the truth of life. If you decide to achieve a goal of any sort, you won't know whether you really like it until you may be halfway through it. You don't know. You don't really know until you're further down the track. So if your goal is to go from this stage to those doors in the back room, that's my goal. I'm going to go there. Now someone says, well, how are you going to go there? There's 20,000 people in the way. Well, I don't care. I'm going to go there. But how? How will you do it? I don't know. But that's where I'll go. Now this is how clear you have to be on your what. If you are this clear, the GPS will drive you to the front door. You don't have to know how. Let's say you get over to that door, or when you get over there and you say, oh, I don't really like it that much. It's not what I expected. I don't like it. Well, it doesn't matter, because when you're at that door, you're going to see things over there you can't see from here. You're going to see out that door, you'll see other openings, other opportunities, other people you can't see. Does that make sense? So when I was tap dancing for 3.5 months, and I was pretty crap at that, I met a woman who said that she was doing English jive. And I said, what's that? She said, it's like, you know, American rock and roll. I said, yeah, that's really cool. I love American rock and roll. She said, it's an English version of that. And so from that, Barbara and I joined a jive club, and we become expert English jivers, and we love it. But we wouldn't have become jivers if I hadn't gone to learn tap dancing in the first place. Does that make sense? So wherever you start, if you think, I want to do this, if you get halfway through and you don't like it, it doesn't matter. Just put a line through it. Because when you're halfway to that door, you'll see things you can't see from here. That's how it works. So what else have we got on the list? Snow ski, famous on TV, write a best-selling book. This is interesting. I've written 11 #1 best-selling books in a row. I don't mean Amazon #1s that last for 10 minutes. I'm talking about Times bestsellers. 18 bestsellers, 11 #1. I decided to write #1 books. But that sounds a bit strange. You decided to write #1 book. I decided to write #1 book. Well, how do you do that? Why did you do that? Well, I had to write #1 books. I'll tell you why soon, why I had to do that. I'd written best-selling books before that. They sold tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. But suddenly I needed to write books that sold by the millions. So once I decided to do that, suddenly I put it in my box. I saw how, if I hadn't had the urge to do that, I'd only be writing best-selling books. I'm going to come back and share a bit more with you shortly. In fact, by 2005, I had 5 of the top best-selling books in the world on the bestsellers list. In fact, some of our books couldn't be #1 because we already had #1. There's my rock and roll band. We did a recording of that about a month ago. That's playing AC/DC mostly. I mean, they said, Allan, you should be retiring and drinking red wine and playing golf. I put golf on my list years ago. I'm going to learn to play golf. And I played golf. And my friends play golf. I said, why do you play golf? I said, because it's relaxing. Relaxing? I've never seen a relaxed golfer. They're either angry or they're drunk and happy. They're not relaxed. So I played golf and I didn't like it, so I quit. I got my list, I put a line through it. Now here's the important thing. When I'm on my deathbed, when I'm dying, I will not get up on one elbow and say, I should have learned to tap dance and played golf. I won't be thinking about that till I put a line through it. When you've got lots of things, you just put lines through it. So you only finish up doing things you love to do. Well, here's another list. Run a marathon, live on the beach, fly on the Concorde. I did that just before. Give a seminar in Russia. That was a good one. Now, I wrote give a seminar in Russia on my list when it was the USSR. I want to go to the USSR and give a seminar. And I can remember people saying to me, how will you do this? I don't know. I've been to the movies I saw from Russia with Love with James Bond. I saw Dr. No with James Bond in Russia. That was exciting and scary and KGB. Oh, I said, I'm going to go to the USSR. And some people who I respected said, how? I don't know. But this is what I will do. This is how clear you have to be on what's. Now, once you've written the list of things that you think you might want to do, the list gets divided into 3 lists after a few days. A list, A means I'm going to do those things. That's a scary list because you're committed. B list is things, yeah, I think I want to do that. I like it, but I need to check it out a bit more. And C is just good ideas. One of my good ideas, I drove down the motorway, I saw a guy bungee jumping with a rubber band around his ankle, jumping off a bridge. I thought, holy hell, look at that. Put that on my C list. It took 11 years until I did it. I finally tied myself up with a rubber band and I jumped into a raging river. Now your mother probably told you not to do that, right? Mine did. But if you do a bungee jump, it's not a career move, but if you do it, if you can force yourself to throw yourself off a 20-story building into a river with a rubber band around your ankles, that in life, if you get confronted with some other circumstance that seems overwhelming and scary, then it's not going to bother you when you think about it. I think back to bungee jumping when I see something, I think, no, that doesn't bother me anymore. It's a point of reference. That's why it is a good thing to have on the list. What else have we got here? Catch a snake by hand. I've caught snakes by hand on every continent. Catch a funnel web spider, the world's deadliest spider, lives in Sydney. When I moved there, they were all on the ground. They scared me. I didn't sleep for days. So I rang the local university and said, how do I deal with these spiders? They said, well, we'll send someone to catch them because we're trying to make anti-venom. So I volunteered to become a funnel web spider catcher. They taught me how to catch these spiders, and I'm milking these deadly poisons. If they bite you, you die. I'm milking them. Now, there are still funnel web spiders where I live in Queensland and Australia. And I know where they are, and I see them. I know they strike at sunset. I know not to go past there with no shoes. But they don't scare me. I'm in charge of the spider. It's not in charge of me. Does that make sense? chances are you've got a life with funnel-web spiders in it too, and they scare you and they stop you from living a fulfilling life. I have respect for spiders and for snakes, because I catch snakes by hand as well. But they don't scare me, they don't control my life, is the point. Okay, what else have we got on here? I float in the Dead Sea. I'm going to do that. I'm going to float in the Dead Sea in December this year. And climb the pyramids. I had 2 attempts to climb the pyramids, but both times the terrorists killed busloads of terrorists, so we didn't go. So we decided this time we'll go despite the terrorists. We're going to go and climb those pyramids. We're just going to do it anyway. And the terrorists have a problem with that. Write and record a top 40 record. I own the biggest recording studio in Australia. This weekend I had 15 top musicians and songwriters at my home this weekend in my studio writing songs. And so how do you become a songwriter? Well, you make a decision. But how? It doesn't matter how. Stop thinking about how. If you think about how, you're not going to go any further than where you are right now. Think about what. What will you do? What will you have? Well, live in a castle in England. This is the home that Barbara and I lived in England. Now, we lived in England at a point where we had no money, none at all. So how do you live in a place like this with no money? Simple. You decide, this is what I'll do. Now, when you start telling people, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. People will try to stop you. And you know who the worst offenders are? Your family. They say, hey, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to go into business and do this. I'm going to join multi-level, I'm going to travel to Canada, I'm going to save the world. People try to stop you. Why do you want to do that? You live here, you've got a good job here in Moscow, you've got 2 kids, you've got a mortgage, you've got blah, 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 blah. Now, the important thing is, when you write your list, you must not share this list with people unless you completely trust their judgment, because people try to stop you. The reason they try to stop you is because they love you. They're scared you'll lose your house, lose your job, you won't be able to get back into your community. Or the other reason they don't want to do it is they hate you. If you do this, you'll lose everything, and also it makes me look bad if you do this, so they don't want you to do it. So they don't. Here's a good list. Learn to sail. That's the box. Yeah, helicopter pilot, cook Japanese food, write 4-part harmonies, speed read, sing and tune. That's interesting. I've been singing and when I joined the band, they wanted me to be a backup singer. And for years and years, all my life, I've been singing, but people tell me to stop singing because it's not in tune. And so I bought a year ago a little box. That's called an equalizer, and you sing through the box, and it puts your voice to the right pitch, so you sing in tune. And so now I'm playing rock and roll guitar. TNT, TNT, singing in tune through the box. Now without the box, I wasn't singing in tune. 3 months ago, we had a band rehearsal, and I played all night, and I sang beautifully. Then I noticed that the box hadn't been plugged in, the power was turned off. And I was singing in tune all night. Why? Because I believed I was singing in tune. I believed it. And that was a big thing for me. I teach this stuff, I write books about this stuff, but here I am singing in tune because if I knew the box was turned off, I probably wouldn't sing in tune. Now I sing without the box, and I don't need to sing in tune. Now when I was 39 years of age, I was the richest guy I knew. I was very wealthy, and I lived in a big house on the water with a big boat, and travelled around the world, and we had a horse riding fan. I wanted to learn to ride a horse. We finished up the owner a horse. We raised horses. We were riding them through the forest and travelling the world. It was beautiful. At 39 years of age, we discovered our accountants had been robbing our business for at least 7 years. Now, the bottom line was, for the next 3 years, we had to sell everything we owned to pay back the debts that these guys had committed. They left the country. One went to jail. One went and lived on a boat in the Cayman Islands or somewhere. We're not sure. Well, I finished up absolutely broke at age 40 with nothing. I had a debt for $3.3 million still, and most of that was to the tax office. And if you don't pay the tax office in most places, they lock you up. So I went from being a national hero, a world hero in my little small country town of 800 people to nothing. Now, we never told anybody. We never told our family. We never told no one. Because I had to tell my family we'd lost everything through stupid mistakes. They would have said, if you had have stayed in town, you might have got a job at the mill and you could be the foreman today. So I didn't tell them. Don't tell people who will not support you. So suddenly we've got nothing. Now, when you've got nothing, when you're age 40, you can lay down and die, and some people do this, or you can make a decision to make a comeback. So we spent 3 years trying to sort out this problem, trying to work it out. Pay back the debts, get rid of the account, get rid of the lawyers, I'm working, paying for all the debts. And I've got a national television show right across Australia at this point on body language and how to read liars. And here I am, in the background, going broke. I never told anybody in my country town because they would have said you should have got a job in the bank. So after 3 years of this, Barbara says to me, my wife, she says, "You're depressed." I said, "No, I can't be depressed. It's not possible. I'm a motivational speaker. I couldn't be depressed." She said, "Yeah, you're depressed. You're negative all the time." So I said, "That's not true." So she takes me to the doctor, the new blood test. They go, "You're depressed. The serotonin levels are down, the bad hormones are up, the bad chemicals are up, good hormones are gone." And so they offered me Prozac, which is what they do. They want to give you antidepressants. I knew what that was. I didn't want to do it. So I decided to become an expert in depression. So I became an expert in depression. What causes depression? Well, it is a chemical misbalance in the brain. That's true. But the point is that you don't hear from medical profession. What causes that to happen? Well, what causes is what you're putting in your Google box. You know what most people put in their Google box? They put in what they don't want. I don't want to get divorced. I don't want my partner to leave me. I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to die early from cancer. They put in their box what they don't want. And that's what they get. What they don't want. So for 3 years I've been putting in what I don't want. I got it. So Barbara and I, we made the decision to make a comeback. We said we will only write from here on #1 books. And #1 books sell millions. We need to sell millions to make a comeback. Now the reason we decided to write #1, we had to make a comeback. The minute we decided to do that, suddenly we started analysing #1 books. How are they written? What are they about? And there's a way of writing #1 books. Who thinks they've got a book inside? Raise your hand if you think you can write a book. Okay, now, if you decide to make it one of your goals, you'll probably write a book. It doesn't mean anybody's going to buy it. You'll probably write a book. If you decide, I'll write a best-selling book, it will force your brain to search for information about how best-selling books are written. What type of topics are they? What's the structure? How do you sell it? It's more about selling than anything. And I did that with #1 best-selling books. And the first one that came out we wrote was Why Men Don't Listen, Women Can't Read Maps, sold 13 million in 55 languages. And every book after that sold 2, 3, 4 million. One, because we decided to do that, we looked at how to do it, and that's what happened. We decided just to write books, we just had books. Make sense? When you decide the what, the how will appear. So now we're writing best-selling books, and I go back for a checkup. What do you think the doctor tells me when I go for a checkup, 47 years of age? Cancer! Terminal cancer, by the way, means you're going to die. It's 3 years to live. You won't see 50 is what they're telling me. So I decided to become an expert in cancer. So I became an expert in every possible way you can deal with cancer. Everything that was legal and illegal to do, I did it. If you couldn't do it in Australia because it's illegal, I would go to Mexico, I would go to Asia, I would go to the Middle East, I would go wherever you had to go to get that therapy. Whether it's poisoning myself with cyanide, I nearly killed myself with cyanide, whether it was sucking on cactus in Mexico, whether it was taking blood out of one arm in China and putting it through a machine and in the other arm, whatever it was, I did it. Did it work? I don't know. But I made a decision to live. I was laying in hospital with all these tubes taken out of me. And this expert doctor came in and he said, "Look, we've cut out your prostate, I had advanced prostate cancer. At 47, you're going to die." I said, "We want you to take new therapy." So what is it? "Well, more cutting, more burning, more poisoning." I said, "No, I don't want it." He said, "Well, I'll give you your statistics, Mr. Pease." I said, "Go on, I'd like statistics." I'm on morphine. I don't take drugs, never have, but I'd be a good drug addict on morphine. Oh, it's terrific, I love it. Here are your statistics. He said 100 men your age with your condition. We expect in the next year 20 will die, and the year after that about another 20, and most of the balance for the last year. And I'm laying there. I said, "Does anybody live?" He said, "Well, about 3% of them will live to be 80 and be hit by a bus or have a heart attack." So I said, "Okay, I'll have 3%, please." And he looked at me and said, "No, this is not about choosing a group. This is a medical statistic of 100 men your age with your condition." I said, "Yeah, but 3% lived and 97 didn't. Those 3% must have done something, eaten something, thought something that 97 didn't do." That's my small country town thinking here. He said, "No, it's a medical statistic." I said, "Well, tell me what do I have to do to qualify for 3%? He said, "That's not what it's about." So I said, "You're fired!" And the next 6 months, I fired 19 doctors. And this is what you've got to do. If somebody will not support you, they won't support your dreams, they won't support your life, if they're dream stealers, emotional vampires, you've got to say you're fired. Now, if you've got to live with these people because they're in your house, you can't really say it that way. But you just don't tell them what you're going to do. Only share your ideas with people who have done what you want to do or are currently doing it. So I decided to find the 3% and live like them. Now, I'm looking at 70 now. They're still telling me 3 years. But that's the statistical group of 100 men aged 68 in my condition with my cancer, isn't it? I'm going to live to be a minimum 90. Minimum. If you don't decide how long you live, you'll die at the national average. Now, for men my age in Australia, they're 72. So I'm going to live to a minimum of 90 in excellent health. I won't die at 90, but I'll live there and I'll make a decision what to do when I'm that age. And so my date is tattooed right here on my left buttock. Excellent till 2040 AD, 15th of August, 4 p.m. It's right there. When I get in the shower every day, I see it and it tells my brain how I'll eat, live and think today. Simple. In closing, to be successful in anything, and you're going to hear a lot about that from Tony today, about how to do it. And here's a guy who knows how to do this. It's a bit of hardware in the back of the brain that dictates what you will do, how you will go. You've all got one. Whatever you feed into that bit of hardware, your RAS will take you where you want to go. Chances are you've been feeding into your brain things you don't want to do, and you've been getting what you don't want. Or you're thinking about how I want to do it and you don't know how, so you're not moving anywhere. Decide the what, and the how will appear. Спасибо.